Baldur's Gate who is actually a wizard.
There,
You
the
just
rule is true.
you just run into this random chicken in the wizardness in the wilderness, and he begs you to help him get back to his master wizard, and you have the choice to either think you're going insane, just not help him, or take him back to the wizard in your pocket.
I know my favorite is Pokemon games, whenever someone asks you a question, it's like, do you like this? What are your feelings on this? Just agree with them every time. They will always give you good stuff.
Indeed, yes. All right.
Number
Whose
102.
turn? Oh.
Number 102, the perversity principle. If you're unsure about what to do next, ask all the townspeople nearby. They will either all strongly urge you to do something, in which case you must immediately go out and do that thing, or else they will strongly warn you against doing something, in which case you must immediately go out and do that thing.
Of course.
Of course, yes, yes. That happens in every fucking game ever. Okay.
Like the beginning of Pokemon. Everyone warns you,
Yes.
don't go into the tall grass. Goes into the tall grass anyway. You dipshit.
Yes. And that's how the story starts, evidently. Okay, 103, Near-Death Epiphany, the Fey Rule. If the party is not dealing damage to a boss character, then there's a better than even chance that someone in the party will suddenly become enlightened and instantly acquire the offensive skill that can blow the creature away in a matter of seconds.
Phoebe.
Yes, that is like the Naruto rule, apparently, because Naruto is getting his ass kicked, and then suddenly he's kicking their ass for no apparent reason. Even though 2 seconds ago he tried to summon that giant toad and just couldn't do it.
Or as we like to call it, the Shonen Jump rule outside of Dragon
Yes.
Ball Z.
The Shonen Jump rule, yes. Probably one of the key reasons why Random DC hates anime, too.
Actually, I kind of think this would apply to Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat movie as well. Because
Yes,
Goro
but that-
seemed seemingly invincible, and Johnny Cage figured all it took was a punch in the nads.
Actually, I'm going to let him pass on that because that is the obvious thing, and I'm surprised nobody else tried it. Okay, next. Oh, wait. The Wutai rule.
Number 104.
Wait. I'm going to rename this the Weeaboo rule. Most RPGs, no matter what their mythology, include a land based on ancient Japan, full of pagodas, shrines, shoguns, kitsune, whatever, and sushi.
Nuclear!
This. It's Japanese. I'm allowed to mispronounce it. This completely anachronistic place is the source of the entire world's supply of ninja and samurai characters.
Or the Naruto
including the
rule.
Yes, the Naruto. Well, Naruto is like completely and totally that ancient Japanese world, isn't it?
Sort of. It has some modern
Yeah, because we
things.
all know Naruto is based off factual documents.
Naruto is in a world of its own, okay? It's allowed to be retarded and make its ninjas wear orange.
And
shout.
girls with pink hair.
And yes, every anime does that. If it's not pink hair, it's blue hair or green hair.
Number 105. Law of Mooks. Soldiers and guards working for the evil empire are, as a rule, sloppy, cowardly, and incompetent. Members of the heroic resistance faction are, as a rule, dreadfully weak and undertrained, and will whipped out to the last man in a moment. Will be wiped out to the last man the moment they come in contact with the enemy, also known as the Star Wars rule.
Yeah.
The Star
definitely.
Wars rule
Yes.
of battle.
Yes, indeed. Number 106. Oh, it's your turn.
My turn.
Sorry.
Number 106, Law of Traps. No matter how obvious the trap, you can't complete the game unless you fall into it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. 107. The Arbor Day rule. At some point, you're going to have to talk to a tree and do what it says.
The Deku Tree rule.
Let's see. There's a talking tree in Final Fantasy IX too, isn't there? And I'm thinking Legend of Mana, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't a do what it says, but a find the tree kind of thing. Oh wait, no, you could completely ignore that subquest and choose between 3 different storylines in that game.
But it was in there, so.
Yeah. There were like that game had 3 completely unrelated storylines that you could just choose between, and at the end of each of those storylines the game would end and you would go into a new game plus. I actually like that.
Rule 108. You do not talk about the Fight Club. Any fighting tournament or contest of skill you hear about, you will eventually be forced to enter and win.
That does happen most of the time, although there are exceptions. You are not forced, I don't think, to play the... Oh, wait, in Final Fantasy VI, are you forced to go into the arena at any point?
Jack 3. Even though that's not an RPG, but...
Oh, yes, Jack 3. At the very start of the game, in fact. Next up is number 108, the Invisible Bureaucracy Rule. Other than the royal family, its shifty advisor, and the odd mad scientist, the only government employees you will ever encounter in the course of your adventure are either guards or kitchen staff, and props to Final Fantasy VII for flying into the face of this rule. Because you encounter every single fucking government employee on your way up the Shinra Tower. Johnny, your turn.
Number 110. The Miracle of Automation. Similarity. Nuclear. Any factory, power plant, or other facility that you visit during the course of the game will be devoid of any human life except for the occasional guards. There will not be a single line worker or maintenance person in sight.
Or the Star Wars Episode 2 rule.
Or as I like to call it, the Metal Gear Solid minus Otacon rule.
Actually, no, because Metal Gear Solid wasn't a factory.
Yes,
or
but
at least it wasn't a factory in action.
Yeah, but it was a base, and with all this technological stuff going on, and other than Otacon, you really don't meet any other scientist people who should be working on stuff. Because the dumb as nails guards are actually supposed to be super geniuses with IQs over 100 and whatever. So I assume that they have the know-how to operate these devices, even though they're too stupid to not realize that following footprints in a circle is a pretty stupid thing to do. Number 111. Principle of archaeological convenience. Every ancient machine you find will work perfectly the first time you try it, and every time thereafter. Even if its city got blasted into ruins and the machine was sunk at the bottom of the ocean and buried in mud for 10,000 years, it'll still work fine. The unfortunate corollary to this rule is that ancient guardian creatures will also turn out to be working perfectly fine when you try and pilfer their stuff.
Corollary.
Nuclear!
That's gonna drive you nuts, isn't it?
It's nuclear, you bastard!
Nuclear!
Number 112. They don't make 'em like they used to, or the SID rule. Modern-day machinery, by contrast, will always break down at the worst possible moment. For example, when you only need one more shot from the giant cannon to defeat the final boss.
Also known as the Millennium Falcon Hyperdrive rule.
And I'm doing the next one because I can. 113. Place transvestite joke here. The Miss Cloud rule. If the male lead is required to dress up like a girl for any reason, he will be regarded by everyone as much more attractive than any real girl. If the female lead cross-dresses as a man, she will be immediately recognized as who she is by everyone except the male lead and the main villain.
Of course.
Well,
this rule is made just to piss off Cloud fans.
Yeah, well, it's actually kind of believable that Cloud could pass himself off as a girl, seeing as how all the guys in anime have a tendency to be androgynous. Unless
Number
they're
114. Oh, thank you for giving me that mental image. Number 114. Make room, make room. There are always more people in a town or village than there are houses for them to live in. Most of the village is made up of shops, temples, bars, secret passages, inns, and the mansion that belongs to the richest man in town.
Oh, that's nothing. In earlier RPGs, the only buildings with doors were the shops, temples, bars, secret passages, inns, and the mansion that belongs to the richest man in town.
I think Mysidia in Final Fantasy IV is the biggest offender of this because there is only inns and shops